Yes, guys, thank you for listening to another episode of the Daily Dose podcast. Today, we have yet another very special guest. This guy was No Coast champion for a very long time. He's consistently been smashing it across multiple platforms. XQZ, what's going on, man?
Hey, Lewis, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
No, thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. I'm a big fan of yours, and jumping straight into the questions, man. Like, how was it that you got into battle rap originally? Because you've been around for quite a while now.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, battle rap is just something I always like. Like this might sound kind of corny, but it's always something I feel like I naturally gravitated towards. Like I was always a big hip hop fan, and I probably started listening to hip hop music when I was like 10 or 11 years old, and that was like early 2000s, and around that time, a lot of like the best like beefs or feuds, whatever you want to call it. Like that's when like 50 and Ja was really heating up. That's when Jay-Z and Nas was happening. That's when like Eminem was going to like Benzino and all these different people. So it's like I feel like that was kind of a golden era of like diss tracks. And so like even before I really knew battle rap was a thing, I was always kind of drawn to that, just kind of the back and forth, the strategy behind it, the fact that there was like a little bit of humor involved was big for me because comedy's always been a big part of my life too. So like that, even before like I was really watching battle rap, I really just kind of loved that that back and forth type of battle feel in the music I listen to. But when I actually like, you know, kind of pre-internet era, obviously it was hard to like find a whole lot of content, but I was always, I remember watching like Jin on 106 in Park. I remember watching the MTV, I think had a few battles with like Swan and Locksmith and Rain Man. I think Marv One was in it, which is crazy to think I've like known who Marv One was for almost like 20 years. Like that's crazy. But what the first battle of like this kind of format, like this generation that I saw, was it was really random. There was just like this. I think it was. I don't know if it was like the middle of the night or why this was on, but on one like random TV channel, they had Iron Solomon versus Mike Assassin, and it was kind of funny because I remember they were doing the intros, and I'm like, oh, this nerdy white guy's about to get killed, and then we obviously saw what happened, and it's just funny looking back, but yeah, like once I saw like that kind of acapella format and where you could really like hear ideas being fully fleshed out, I'm like, that's it. This is the coolest shit ever. And that was right around the time when the first WRCs were happening, and so I just kind of went down that YouTube rabbit hole from there. Yeah, it's funny looking back because Solomon versus Mike Assassin, that's the one that started it all.
Nice, man. And yeah, Mike Assassin, that's a name I've not heard for a long time, but great battle to get you started, I guess. And like with yourself, so I'll be honest, I missed a lot of battles from you in like the early stages of your career. I became aware of you through your battle on Don't Flop against Crafty.
Yeah.
I kind of I slept on No Coast for a very long time. Essentially, I'd seen the odd battle like the T-Rex versus G Soldier battle and things like that, but never really properly jumped in and gone back through the archives of the battles. But the the Crafty battle I was actually in the room for as well, and it was a good battle, man. And it was interesting to see you come over. Were you over in the country at the time anyway, and got that battle, or were you kind of flown over specifically for Crafty?
Yeah, it's really, it was fortunate because this is how it's worked out multiple times. Because I came, that was the second time I was out at Don't Flap. I came in. Oh man, it must have been like 2011 or 2012. I battled Matter,
Yeah, the
and both
first April Fool's event, right?
yeah, and both times, I was just I had like for a while I had some family living in Liverpool actually, and so I was coming to visit, and I just like hit up her. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be in the UK. Like, do you happen to have events in this time frame? And they had that first April Fool's event. And then the second time it was with my girl at the time. We were just taking a vacation, just, we both loved London and just wanted to get away. And it happened to be when the 8th birthday was happening, but that was kind of a double-edged sword because I appreciate you saying that was a good battle. I was never particularly happy with that battle. I feel like it's not terrible, but it could have been so much more. But I was doing the whole vacation thing and just did not wasn't as sharp and as polished as I could have been. But I always have a lot of fun out there. The UK has always been my favorite crowd, and one of these days, once this pandemic shit all blows over, definitely want to get back out there.
Yeah, I can see that, man. And I mean, with the exciting new announcement of No Coast UK division starting, it's got to happen soon, right?
Yeah, shout out to Mickey.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing that start up. But I mean, the battle with Crafty, for me, I think I thought it was a really good battle, especially in the sense that I think that might be one of the worst UK crowds at an event that I've seen personally. I mean, You've got the unfortunate two girls in the front of your battle as well, which were just unbearable through pretty much the whole event. So I can imagine that played a part in the battle too. But yeah, I thought it was a good showing, man. I enjoyed it, and I thought you did well.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. I'm glad you said that about the crowd because it definitely felt like a weird atmosphere the whole night. And I know, obviously, and I don't know all the behind the scenes shit, but I know there's a lot of people. There seems to be a lot of tension in the UK scene, and a lot of people say like it's falling apart. And I don't really agree with that, but I'm kind of from an outsider point of view. But it seems like around that time that like Don't Flop events started getting smaller, and it seemed like just a weird time to maybe be out there. But regardless, I always have a great time, and I don't know, maybe it's because I've kind of got into battle rap with like that jump off wave. I've always just felt like I have very similar taste as like the UK crowd in terms of what I like and what I appreciate. And so, yeah, definitely, whether it's premiere or whatever, I definitely want to get back out there.
Definitely. Yeah, I'd love to see that too, man. But like in terms of yourself, so as I said, like I got into your stuff through the Crafty battle. I've seen everything since then, but before the interview, I kind of went back and watched some of the previous battles that you'd done, and not many people can say that they tried out against a guy called Bilbo Baggins. How did that come about?
Yeah, I mean, that's the very beginning. That's all really when No Coast was starting. So must have been 2009. I had just moved in to college, to my university in Missouri, which is like it's like 6 hours from Chicago. It's for all intents and purposes, it's the middle of nowhere. But when I had moved in and started college, and I'd been there literally about 2 weeks, and I was on the. Were you ever on like rapmusic.com and shit?
I wasn't. That was just before my time, to be honest.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, but it was like this, battle rap like forum, and that's where everyone used to talk about battle rap, I guess. But I come across a post that's a rap battle in Columbia, Missouri, which that's such a crazy sentence for if anyone knows about Columbia, Missouri, because it's just not. It's not a place where rap battles would happen. It's a college town. The population's like 100,000 people. Like it's it's not a major city or anywhere close to it by any means. So I'm like, and I just moved there 2 weeks earlier. So I'm like, no way is there battle rap here. And sure enough, these guys who just lived in town just wanted to start a league, and that was No Coast. And this was kind of before the era where like there were thousands of different leagues. Like this was kind of a new concept. Like there was Grind Time, Don't Flop, King of the Dot, URL, and No Coast. I mean, those were the leagues in 2009. And so yeah, I think I hit up the dude Kelly Betts, who I know you talked to recently. I hit him up, I think on MySpace. I was just like, hey, I would love to try out. And he linked me up with this dude Bilbo Baggins, who was just he was not a battle rapper by any means. He was just kind of a local, opening act kind of guy. And this was his first. He did like freestyle battles, but this was his only battle in this format. It was pretty one-sided, but that was funny too, because like that was at the university, that was like it was the parents' weekend, so I had my family in town, so they were actually at my first battle. So yeah, it just I told them the day before, I'm like, hey, I'm doing a rap battle tomorrow, by the way. So it worked out.
Nice, man. I like it. And yeah, I mean, this is back in the day where Kelly Betts has got his kind of big Mohican, and it's old school in that sense. But I mean, it must have been such an exciting time at that point, like you said, with No Coast being one of the few leagues like in the world at that point. Like, it must have been amazing to have kind of seen it grow from the very start.
Yeah, it was just one of those, because I had a couple, like a month before I moved there, I had a Grind Time tryout in Indianapolis, and I got no-showed. And so I kind of thought once I moved to Missouri, like the battle rap thing was just, I mean, I never really thought I'd go anywhere with it anyway. I kind of thought, I'm a fan, let me just try this for fun. So, the fact that like this league started right when I moved to town, it felt like one of those like meant to be type of moments. And yeah, like you said, looking back at that old footage, it was like 10 of us in a park to, everything we've been able to accomplish since then. Like, it may not seem like much to fans in the big picture, but we've really come a long way.
Oh, 100%, man. And like, some of the events you guys have put on have been incredible. Like, even just down to the most recent event, with yourself versus XLV. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, it just
Yeah,
came out the other day.
yeah. Amazing battle. And the Human Mr. Biscuit title match.
Yeah.
Human is just absolutely amazing. I'm a big fan of him. The A Ward and Ultimate Beast Primus battle was fantastic. Like, you guys, you put on some amazing events, and the atmosphere at the events looks incredible too.
Thank you, man. Yeah, that's really always been the most important thing to me. Like, it's early on, the way we always sold in like bigger name battlers on coming out was that it was sort of a vacation. Like, there just wasn't the same seriousness and intensity as really any other league. I mean, it really is just, we're just trying to have fun with it, and we're still able to put out high quality battles despite that. And I certainly don't think every league should try to be like that. I think you need both sides of it. You need that balance, but I'm happy to say that's kind of our place in this whole thing.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I'd love to get over to an event soon. I think I got a lot more into No Coast as well around the time that like Kinnell and Bowski and Mickey Worthless Mackenzie and those guys came over to battle, because those events looked amazing as well, especially the event where Kinnell battled in the basement and stuff last minute, and I thought that really added to the event and the footage, because the atmosphere was amazing. But it's been very fun to watch, man. But In terms of yourself, like you've done quite a few battles now. I mean, what would you say is your all-time favorite battle that you've been a part of personally?
Man, man, that's tough. I would probably. I've been pretty fortunate. Like, there's really not many battles I look back at and be like, I had a good time in pretty much all of them, minus a few. Like, it just, even if the footage doesn't age as well, I still remember looking back on it like I was having so much fun. But I think I would have to say the red flag battle, just because that was kind of a big moment. Just first time in Toronto. First, it was first GZ, and it just, after battling for, I think I started in '09, so it had been like 8 or 9 years at that point, and it finally started to feel like the work was paying off. And I definitely felt like an underdog going in. Red flag was kind of the next up and coming fan favorite, and more people knew about him going in than me. And I just feel like it is one of those situations where everything, it just couldn't have worked out better. We both really had both pretty much on our A game, and it felt good. Kind of, it felt like a moment where I sort of proved myself, because that was the first battle I've ever been to where I had never met anybody in the room before. There were some people that I had like interacted with online, but there wasn't a single person who I had been to an event with before. So I was like as solo as solo can be. And that's a tough, I don't know how many battle rappers can say they've ever done that. And, so to have a kind of a classic under those conditions, it felt like a big kind of moral victory. And after that, I got to just explore Toronto, and it just felt like a moment where I could appreciate how far I'd been able to come.
Definitely, man. And I didn't realize that was actually booked as a GZ battle, because that went main King of the Dot page, right?
Yeah, it did, which was definitely a bonus as well. Like, again, it just felt like, and it's not like I would not by any means consider myself a big name or anything like that, but just having that little recognition there, that did to open some doors for me. And that, that's when iBattle started booking me, and some other leagues. And so it did definitely change things after getting that look.
Definitely, man. And that it's an incredible battle on both sides too. So I appreciate that. That's one of your favorites personally. And some of there's been a ton of great battles that I feel in the UK are potentially being quite heavily slept on. I mean, I love the Isaac Knox battle is amazing. I really like the Nestle battle, the Sweeney battle. I really like too. Obviously, you've battled Thesaurus, you've battled Random, you've battled so many kind of big names and stuff. And it's been really fun to watch your kind of, especially over the last few years. It's been really fun to watch your journey in that sense.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Like, and I do. I feel like I mean the Nestle battle, that'd probably be number 2 or 3. Just because like was a huge influence, in my opinion, the most underrated battle rapper of all time.
Agreed.
So to go toe to toe with him was definitely an honor. The one other one I want to call out, just because I feel like it's maybe the most underrated, is I battled this guy in No Coast, Speedy Calhoun.
Yeah.
And it was part of the No Coast. We had a collaboration event with Ruin Your Day, which was amazing. So we just had so many of my favorite people in battle rap in the building. We had Avocado himself. We had Ness, Chilla, Marv One, Loose Cipher. And like that was also the battle where I had the most people like from my personal life in the building. Like just kind of all walks of life, a lot of like friends and family. So, which was kind of unfair. It was like definitely the most biased crowd for me I've ever been in front of. But besides that, like it was a really good back and forth. Speedy is an incredibly underrated rapper. And it just was like the most fun vibes, I guess, of any event. And I don't know if Hannibal Buress is like known in the UK, but he's like a famous American comedian, and he randomly was in the building. It was just kind of fun, to have that plus ruin your day. Just a really cool memory as well.
Definitely. Yeah, I can see that, man. That's amazing. But do you have like a least favorite battle of yours personally?
I mean, honestly, you may not agree. The Crafty battle is definitely the one I was like the most down on myself after. And it just because I feel like that was such a big opportunity. Even though it was day one, it was still a birthday event. So it was the biggest card I had been on up to that point. And it was a solid battle, but I feel like it could have been so much more. Kraft was really hungry. I was as well. I just hadn't quite gotten my verses down. So the execution just wasn't there. I mean, I pre-buttled his whole round about Trump. Like there was just some moments that could have been really cool if they were executed just a little bit better. So it wasn't that the battle was so terrible. It's just that like the vibe was so weird, and I just feel like it had way more potential. So I was disappointed about that one. But as far as just like the worst battle I've ever been in, that would be way back in the day. This was my third battle ever. I battled this dude Deadbeat, who's also incredibly underrated. Sorry, he's hilarious. He's one of the No Coast originals, and I battled him for the first ever No Coast title. It was my third battle ever, so it was like 2009, 2010, and I lost to him, and then I battled him. The battle was so bad that we had a rematch like 6 months later to make up for it, and that's when I beat him and won the title. But the first battle, we were in this venue called the Blue Note. It was like a really cool concert venue. It probably fits like 600. Like it looked like a URL event in there, and we like sold it out. But the problem was it was sold out because of a local music act that we had performing in between the battles, and that's who everyone was there to see. So no one was trying to listen to the battles. Everyone was talking and shit, and I think I had stumbled every round. I just wasn't ready. Like I was prepared, but my first two battles were in front of like 20 people. So to go from that to 600 people, I just wasn't ready. It's pretty terrible footage.
Right. No, I can see that. But yeah, I mean, it must be pretty hard to pick your least favorite. 'Cause as I said, most of the battles are really, really strong, man. So it's been fun going back through some of the older battles too. But like for yourself, you've obviously been to a ton of events now too. But what would you say is the best battle that you've ever seen live personally?
That's actually a surprisingly easy question. I mean, there's a few, but the best battle I've ever seen live was just last year. I saw Goods versus Gage at Guerrilla Warfare.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my first Guerrilla Warfare event. I battled on that card against this dude Q-Pac, that was a really fun battle too. And that was cool because it just was obviously a very different vibe than No Coast. It's in Chicago. If No Coast was KOTD, Guerrilla Warfare would be URLs. More kind of that street vibe. And but the main event on that card was Goods versus Gage. Gage being like easily my favorite battle rapper from Chicago and one of my favorites. Period. And obviously Goods, a legend, and yeah, they just had a really amazing one rounder.
Yeah, I've seen that battle actually. It's really good, and I don't know too many people over here in the UK that are aware of Gage either, but he's He needs like a big look, right?
Yeah, I mean, my
He
whole
could
thing
easily
is,
step on the URL stage or somewhere like that anyway.
yeah, without question. And I'm just I'm very biased towards people that don't sound like anybody else. Like originality is number one for me, and uh, that I mean, which people were calling him and Goods like a mirror match just because they're both kind of laid back. But I think they're still completely different, and I think there's no one who sounds like Gage, and I think he's incredible, and yeah, I'd like to see him. He's smart because he doesn't battle that often, which keeps the demand high. But yeah, I definitely want to see uh, get continue to get big looks like that.
No, I completely agree, and he's a big talent for anyone that hasn't checked him out. But I mean, the Chicago scene as a whole is, I mean, it's kind of underrated as a whole, I guess, isn't it? I mean, I don't know too many people in the UK that follow like No Coast or guerrilla warfare. It's kind of only the people that are really into battle rap in that sense. But are the events in Chicago like quite big events? Like, do they get a big crowd following and stuff?
Uh, Sometimes. I mean, definitely not. There's been a few events over the years that have been like on a level of like the URL and KOTD, like hundreds of people. If you look at some of the older guerrilla warfare events, they used to be as big as like like be full cards that could be on URL. Like I don't know if you remember like Big K versus Math. That happened on Guerrilla Warfare. Aver versus Surf, like just some absolutely insane matchups. And then there was also one URL event in Chicago that had like Charlie Clips versus Big T, Aver versus X Factor. Like, so there's been a few, but yeah, for the most part, and I don't, I don't book events, so I don't really know why this is, but it seems like we've kind of moved away from that and moved more towards smaller events. And maybe that's just to put more of a focus on local talent, which I certainly agree with. But yeah, I think because of that, we do go under the radar a lot. I mean, we've really only had like Big T, Big Cannon, Young Cannon, Fresco, who's not really from Chicago, but he's kind of the Chicago area. So there's really not many big names that have come out of here, and I think we just need more guys like Truffaut and Gage and myself, and I don't want to forget anyone. Sammy Wild Hundreds, King Crash. There's so many incredible battlers here. They just need to break through to that bigger stage if we want to go less under the radar. But there's the potential is definitely there.
Definitely, man. And is Human from Chicago? Is that correct?
Yeah, Human as well. Oh, absolutely. I'm mad at myself. I didn't list him just now, but yeah, Human is from Chicago as well. Probably him, Gage are definitely my 1-2 from Chicago, but so many other incredible artists as well. And that's really not to get too far off topic, but I was lucky enough to get this opportunity with shout out to Lex of getting me in this URL Crucible situation here. And you never know how things like that will pan out, but I hope I get that opportunity just because I want to shine some more light on some of this under the radar talent that we've got here.
Definitely. Yeah, that makes sense, man. And then, I mean, it's recently been revealed as such that you're going to be going on URL soon as well. How did that come about? That's just through Lex and the auditions, right?
Yeah, that was honestly a big surprise to me. Like I didn't I saw that these audition videos are going on, and I'm not sure how much information I'm allowed to release. But Lex had hit me up a couple months ago, just being like, I'm going to be on the URL staff, and I want to give you an opportunity. And, you never know how things like this are going to pan out. So I didn't really, I was like, that'd be amazing. Obviously, like that. I never really envisioned myself on URL, just because, I feel like my style, kind of the more like sarcastic, like comedic type, I just haven't really seen that on URL. So I don't know how it would really go over there, but obviously that's the biggest platform. And so you get that, and it's a legendary platform, for everything it's done for battle rap. So that's not an opportunity you can really pass up. So now that he's been a little bit more public with these announcements, I'm going to lean into it. I mean, I'm excited. You never know how it's going to go, but that I'd be foolish to not put my all into it.
Oh, I agree, man. And like, it's really fun to see that URL are kind of going in a different direction and being a bit more inclusive of other battlers and other styles. So I'm really excited to see you on there, and that'll be a massive look for yourself, no doubt. But has there been any other leagues down the years that you've really wanted to get on, like any leagues that you're a big fan of?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that I definitely want to revisit KOTD. I mean, that I got my kind of debut unexpectedly through the red flag battle, but I've never been to like a big KOTD card before, a mass or world domination or whatever. So even if I was on like the smaller day 2 card or whatever, just to be in the building to witness an event like that, it's kind of crazy that I've been in battle rap so long and haven't at least been able to witness a main card type event. So definitely want to get it back up to Canada or out to. I've never battled on the West Coast, so whether it's through bots or even one of these kind of small like Ruin Your Day battles I've discussed with Avocado before. So I would love to do that. There's Rap is full without question. That looks, especially after that Dunch battle that just came out with Podge, that just looked like such a fun atmosphere. Like that crowd was just that's my type of environment, just that rowdy kind of drunk crowd. And I definitely want to get out to Ireland and back out to the UK. And then there's a few events or a few leagues in the Midwest that I really want to check out. I've never been to Detroit. I've never battled in St. Louis, which is crazy because that's only a couple hours away. So yeah, there's still plenty on the bucket list, and I'm just trying to stay hungry and stay busy.
Nice, man. Yeah, I like it. And one thing that I've been asking people is if you had to put together a list of, say, 5 battlers that you would really like to battle personally, like in the near future, who makes that list for you?
Man, that's always been tough for me to answer because I'm very like, what drives me the most is fan feedback. Like I don't really want a battle unless I feel like people want to see it. So I just kind of go off what I'm hearing people tell me they want to see, and just not a. I haven't really put that question out there in a while, so I'd like to know who people want to see me battle. But a couple that come up a lot, Dunch would definitely be number one, which I get it. I feel like there are some similarities in how we approach things, and but that's also one that I would definitely need to I would need to put some thought behind, because I've never really seen. I don't think I've seen him lose ever, or even in battles that aren't considered his best performances. I still think it's what he writes is more creative and more entertaining than 99% of battlers. So I'd really need to take that seriously. But yeah, I would love to battle Dunch at some point. people in No Coast have always wanted to see me and Mr. Biscuit. So that'd be definitely like, that'd probably be the next No Coast battle that I'd want to do. I guess people have thrown Pat Stay out there, which it's one of those like where it's the kind of top tier guy going to the smaller league and battling their guy. It's not one I deserve anywhere but No Coast, but Pat's my number one all time, so that would certainly be an honor. Yeah, I guess that'd be. I'll call it at 3. Let me think if there's any like in other leagues. No one else that really stands out as like bucket list battles, but I've never been good at this, but I'm always open to ideas.
No, that makes sense, man, and it's a very strong list. I like the thought of all 3 of those battles, but I mean, you said you like to go off like fan suggestions and stuff. I mean, personally, I would like to see you over these parts of the world again. Like, I think I may have actually suggested you for the recent Broken Resolutions event just before Christmas, but I think they'd already booked the card by that point. But there's a guy in Ireland that I think would make a lot of sense for you personally. He's kind of on the rise at the moment, but it's a guy called Scabman the Scaldy. So if you get a chance to check him out, then do so. He's I think he recently battled Pedro at that event, and did very well by the sounds of things. And he's also about to battle Bowski as soon as the kind of the lockdown period's over. But I think that would be really fun to see. And I mean, I would quite like to see you versus Human happen too.
Yeah, that's definitely gets thrown out there too. Yeah, I don't know. Now that he's the champ, I don't. I've been in his position where it's like, can you do non-title? Because obviously, I'm not going to do a title match, but and plus me and Human have we're pretty good friends, so. And I've never been like, oh, I won't battle him because we're too cool. But that's always something that comes up. So yeah, I'd like to do that as well. So it's definitely another option. I'd actually really like to team up with someone from Chicago, like Human or even Gage, and do like a 2-on-2. That's another. I think I've only done 1 2-on-2 ever, and actually had a lot of fun with it. So that's always a good kind of change of pace.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's a good shout. And what was it that made you decide to kind of vacate the title then? Was it limiting matchup opportunities or something like that, or?
No, it wasn't so much that. It really just felt like time. Like I'm not really as active as I used to be. Obviously, like I think the last title match I had was against Speedy, which was 2017. There was supposed to be one in 2018 with this guy Young Dave, but the battle fell through at the last minute. So and then I started going to iBattle and GZ and stuff. So I think it just made more sense to kind of focus on, representing No Coast in other leagues and trying to get, my own name up and kind of put the title back in the rotation for people that are more hungry for it and more active, like within No Coast. So I think it just was good for the competition and good to just kind of make things interesting again.
That makes sense. No, I can appreciate that. And I mean, you weren't really getting much of a challenge either, I suppose. So it makes sense on that front. But
yeah, I mean, there's no shortage of there was certainly a time early on in No Coast where the roster was very thin and there weren't many options. But I think Human and Biscuit is proof that alone that there's plenty of talent in the roster, and there's plenty of contenders now, and so I'm excited to see what happens next.
Definitely, yeah, man, and it's an exciting time for No Coast as a whole too, with the 2 new divisions and stuff like that. Shouts out to the New England division too.
Yes.
That's going to be exciting. But is there like, this is one of the questions that people have found the most difficult to answer, to be honest. But if you were promoting your own event and you had kind of unlimited funds to put the event together, what battles would you personally put on the card? Like, who are your favourites or your matchups that you really want to see?
Oh man, yeah, it's a world of possibilities for sure. There's a few that immediately come to mind. Hollow versus Disaster needs to be settled. They had their preview battle, and I know it was supposed to be sort of a preview for the full one. So that's kind of I feel like ultimate, granted, regardless of what you think about those guys now, they're probably 2 of the most recognized, accomplished, whatever you want, like battle rappers ever. That's kind of the ultimate, just who is really the king of this shit all time type of battle to me. The Saurus versus Iron Solomon, again, long overdue. I guess I'm biased towards these rematches here, but 2 of my favorites and 2 that had a classic freestyle battle back in the day. Let's see, Pat Stay would have to be on that card, but who would he battle? Maybe Pat Stay versus Hitman. Just like very different, but known for their like just performance and presence. And Hitman's one of my favorites as well. And then I'd want to see, if I was throwing like this mega card, I'd want to see some of the guys who I feel like go under the radar get huge looks. I'd want to see Dago Diavolo from iBattle. Who's like I'd want to see him versus a puncher like a B Magic or even like a Nitty. Yeah, that's a solid. I mean, that's a solid 4 right there. And I guess I would have to battle. I'd battle Ilmac to round it off to 5.
Nice, I like it. Yeah, it's a good card, man. That's a really strong card. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, like I said, most people have really struggled with that question, and you've kind of listed those off very quickly. So,
and sorry, I can't let this one go. I got to get Shufflo versus Surf and Tay Rock versus gun titles.
Okay, interesting. I like it. It's I think everybody is kind of fixated on the thought of Shufflo versus Saurus and Ilmax, and nobody's said anything different as of yet. But yeah, that's a very good shout. I'd love to see him go up against like guys of that style. They were meant to battle DNA and K-Shine, and
yeah, I would have loved to see that.
Yeah, unfortunately, K-Shine didn't know he needed a passport, apparently, which is pretty standard. But yeah, it's a shame. But I mean, what's the? Are you like involved as like a staff member with No Coast as such? Then do you have any hand in putting events together, or do you sit back on that front?
On and off, I back in the day, like there was actually a period of like a year or 2 where I was technically running No Coast. It's the president or whatever you want to call it position is kind of rotated. it's been most of the time Kelly Betts and Pompey. Deadbeat did for a little bit. Now it's my boy Shake. I did for a little, so it's kind of moved around. And then, there was a time, especially early on, where I would, have a pretty big hand in like booking matches, coordinating travel, things like that. Definitely fallen back as of late and just kind of focused on battling, but I'll still, me and Shake talk pretty much every day. We'll run matchup ideas and things like that. So yeah, pretty I play the background definitely, but I'll still, advise every now and then and just kind of brainstorm.
It's a good plan. Yeah, nice, man. And where personally would you say is your favourite place to battle so far then? Would it be just hometown in Chicago?
I definitely love battling in Chicago, but being completely unbiased, it's got to be out in iBattle. I mean, it's a similar vibe to No Coast for sure, as it's very very lighthearted, all about just having a good time, and but it's a little bit different because it's really like something cool about No Coast, but also kind of it kind of backfires sometimes. Is it's not really a battle rap crowd a lot of the times. It's kind of our friends and people just there to like drink and have a good time, which is I'm totally cool with, but sometimes that it holds us back in terms of like the crowd reacting or really understanding material versus like iBattle, they understand every fucking bar and react accordingly, even overreact sometimes, I would say. But I would certainly prefer that over, the opposite, or just no one's reacting. So I feel like the iBattle gas has kind of become famous. It's just like every battle, the atmosphere is just so fun. People find a way to enjoy it no matter what.
Nice. Yeah, I like it, man. And definitely be very excited to see you come back over here again anyway, once No Coast has started here. But I mean, that's pretty much it for the battle rap related questions, man. There's I've been ending up with a few music based questions and then just some completely random questions to finish off with. But I mean, it's another difficult one, I'm afraid. But if you had to pick your top 3 favorite albums of all time off the top of your head, what would you go with?
Ooh. That is, I love that question because I love talking about this kind of shit, but that is always difficult. But
yeah,
I'm gonna try to not think too much and just go with it. I'm gonna say "Nothing Was the Same" by Drake.
okay. Nice.
I'm a big Drake fan. I know he's definitely a polarizing figure, but I mean, I'm not gonna go too much into it, but I'm a huge fan of his music and everything he's done for battle rap as well. I gotta say the Marshall Mathers LP. Again, I know it's not really cool to like Eminem anymore, but that was a big part of my life, and like many white suburbans, one of the things that got me into hip hop initially. So I have to pay the respect it deserves. And at number 3, I'm gonna go with the. This is gonna be more left field, but I'm gonna go with "Country Grammar" by Nelly. Just a completely different style of anything else. Because I kind of came up like from when I was in like middle school and high school. I was one of those like super underground like type of kids. It was like all Jedi mind tricks and Immortal Tech, and like everything had to be super lyrical and boom bap. Like that's what I grew up with. So it was just kind of like a breath of fresh air, just this very like melodic, type like party fun type of shit that just was very different than everything I was listening to, and just it made me appreciate not only like lyricism, but it helped me appreciate the other side of just like creating a vibe, creating something that's just fun to listen to. So and I still go back and listen to it. I guess I have to also throw in Back the Fuck Up by Onyx. That was actually the first album I ever bought with my own money. This must have, and granted it came out way before, it had been out for years, but like it just was, I don't know, it was just one of those albums that stuck with me. I always loved Onyx, kind of that New York 90s style, like DMX, Redman. That's like the shit I really grew up loving.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm a big Onyx fan too, but that's a good list. And like, I know what you're saying with Drake too. Like, he hasn't. I think this is the 59th episode that I've recorded now, and Drake hasn't come up yet. I feel like people are. It's similar to Eminem. It's kind of uncool to like him because he's got such a big following, but his music's just so easy to listen to, isn't it? There's nothing to not like.
I would agree with that, and I also feel like, and maybe I'm too biased here, but there's certain moments where I feel like there's some moments where he's just rapping his ass off. Like he mixes it up, which is something I also appreciate. But like, especially, maybe not so much with his more recent stuff, but like, all those like, what are they, 5 a.m. in Toronto and all those, like the songs with those titles and every like intro, he still like goes crazy and raps really well. But then he also like mixes it up and makes it easy to listen to. So, I feel like he's as close as it comes to like having something for everyone, and maybe to a fault because he, experiments with too many different styles. But yeah, I'll just always, I'll always have a lot of respect for what he's done.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm with you there, to be fair. And the next question is, in terms of like concerts and shows that you've been to, who would you say is the best live act that you've ever seen?
Oh man, that without well, there's been a few, but the one that jumps out is actually Busta Rhymes. So there used to be, I don't know if this ever came to the UK, but they had there used to be a music festival called Rock the Bells, and I think they still do it, but they used to tour all over the US. Now I think they only do it in like 1 or 2 cities because it's such a crazy, like, it just wasn't sustainable, because it would be like 12 hours, like just a whole day of different hip hop acts. And so like you'd probably see like there was like multiple stages. You could probably see like 10 different sets throughout the day. Like it was insane. And I went to that for 3 years before they stopped bringing it to Chicago. And in that time, I probably saw damn near like my entire like top 30 rap. Like between those 3 years, everyone came out. But some of the ones that stood out the most was definitely Busta Rhymes, Method Man and Redman. I saw MOP perform Annie Up, which was just like, I wish I could go back, and I wish I like recorded it. Like just the energy was insane. It's the closest to a mosh pit I've probably ever been in. And like there was one year like the whole Wu-Tang Clan was there. Nas was there a couple times. Like just so many crazy and like a diverse list of acts I saw there. But yeah, and definitely like Busta, Redman, Method Man. I've also saw been to a couple Drake shows in Chicago, which was awesome. Yeah, but those Rock the Bells, there was nothing like that. It was just a marathon of different acts the whole day.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds amazing, man. And I've definitely heard of Rock the Bells. Is that local to you then?
Uh, so it used to be a tour that would go all through the U.S.
Ah,
I think they only do it like instead of it being a tour, it's just like a once a year event. I think it's in New York, or maybe I think they maybe do one in New York, one on the West Coast, but they used to hit like every city. But I think that was just too hard to continue doing with how many acts were part of it.
nice. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure I've seen footage of like some New York events and stuff. So that sounds good though, man. And the final music related question is there any lesser known musicians that like myself or the listeners might not be aware of that you're a big fan of at the moment?
Hmm. Uh, you know, not. I'd say not for the most part. I mean, honestly, and I'll I'll openly admit I'm not the best, at least in recent years, at being having my finger super on the pulse of like I don't know if still call it the underground or kind of the smaller artists. I've been, I guess I don't know if mainstream is the word, but I'm definitely not as like in tune as I maybe used to be. Um, I will say if there's any like lesser known artists, it's a lot of the battle rappers music that of the guys that actually like make good music. I mean, Eddie I makes incredible music. I've always been a fan of Sue Surf, Shoddy. So if I'm listening to quote unquote underground rappers, it's probably battle rappers that make good music.
Nice. Yeah, and one of my main aims with this podcast is once I've kind of built the subscribers up, I want to do a weekly show where we talk about battlers' music a bit more because I just feel like it's always criminally underviewed, to be honest. Like you said, with Eddie I, who's making amazing stuff right now, and like all over the world, there's battlers making really good music, and I don't think it gets enough shine personally. So yeah, I like that answer a lot. But the um, the final three questions are completely random, but do you have a favorite sports team at all?
Yeah, I'm a big hockey guy. Chicago Blackhawks. That's like that's all throughout my apartment. It's just Blackhawks stuff everywhere. I've been yeah been a hockey fan for a long time, and I've actually like I never played growing up. I actually like just took ice hockey up like 2 years ago, so I'm still terrible at it. I'm still like learning how to skate, but I've just always loved the sport. And yeah, if you're ever in the U.S., that's by far the best sport to see live. The energy, the atmosphere is just crazy. It's so fast. It's like I compare it a lot to football, but faster paced. I think you'd get a kick out of it if you're I don't know if you're a football fan or a sports fan, but yeah, big ice hockey guy for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not overly like I've never really had the chance to get into the NHL. However, I lived in Sweden for a couple of years and used to go and watch the local team, which was Skellefteå AIK a lot, and they were kind of the Swedish champions for about 4 years running. So they're a pretty high standard of ice hockey in that sense, and I got really into the sport. So I would like to follow the NHL more. It's not overly accessible in the UK.
It, I mean, it's not overly accessible here either, to be honest. Like it always it takes a back seat to football, baseball, and basketball. So it's it's not promoted and televised as much. So the fan base isn't as quite as big, but yeah, it is. It's a pretty incredible sport.
Definitely, yeah. And I've very recently got into NFL, like massively into it as well. So within the last season, they've started playing we essentially have a show on a Saturday night called Match of the Day, which shows all the Premier League like soccer highlights, and then straight after that we now have the NFL show, which plays all the highlights from the NFL week. So I've kind of got really into it this year and started watching that and stuff, and I've actually picked Chicago Bears as my team as well.
Yeah, there we go. They need all the help they can get. But that's awesome, man. And I know the NFL has been trying to like build out there. Like my girlfriend is a big Seattle Seahawks fan, and she went and saw them play. I think at Wembley Stadium. I think that's where they were a couple
Yeah,
years
that's it.
ago.
Yeah,
And that'd be so. I haven't been to any sporting event overseas, but man, that would be incredible. Whether it was American football or a soccer game, I would definitely need to. That's on the bucket list next time I'm out there.
yeah, man. Get yourself down to Anfield and go to a Liverpool game. You won't regret that. But yeah, I'm a big Liverpool fan. That's my main sport, if I'm honest. But
Okay.
yeah, become a big Chicago Bears fan, and I'll be honest, there's two reasons for why I picked the Bears. One, I like the jerseys, and two, I'm probably the only British person I know that got really into the TV show The League. So
Yeah.
I kind of just went with the Bears off the back of those two things. But yeah, big fan. But like, if you could pick anywhere in the world for your next holiday or your next trip abroad, where would be top of your list of places to go?
Mm. I've actually been talking about that. I mean, it's sort of a fantasy right now. Just imagining, life where you're able to go travel again. So I've been thinking about it a lot. Just like, what am I going to do once we're free to leave? Um, I Back when I was in school, I spent a summer in Florence, Italy, and that is by far my favorite place I've ever been, and I would love to go back there. Just beautiful city, incredible food. I mean, what more can you ask for? Um, I'd love to get back to Italy. As far as places I've never been before, I would say, man, I would love to. I've always wanted to go to Japan, Tokyo. Just totally, I've never been anywhere in Asia, so just it'd be totally different than anything I've experienced. Yeah, traveling is really important to me, and it's tough being restricted right now, but definitely a lot to look forward to.
Nice, man. Yeah, yeah. Traveling's pretty important to me too, and unfortunately, I mean, the only continents I've not been to yet is the Antarctic and North America. So I'm hoping to get over as soon as possible. But Chicago's kind of top of my list of places I'd like to go to. So hopefully that'll happen soon. But the final question, and this has brought up some absolutely terrible answers at points so far, to be fair. But if you could pick one sweet and one savoury, but what, in your opinion, is the go-to snack?
Damn, one sweet, one savory. Let's see. Okay, so let's see for sweet. Uh, Damn, do you guys have Ben and Jerry's out there?
We do.
Yeah, I don't know if the flavors and shit are the same, but they got this one here called Half Baked,
Yeah,
and yeah, like it's that's the old like that's my go-to if I'm feeling just like super stressed. Put away like a whole like pint of that in one sitting. Um, yeah, any like ice cream, I've always been like kind of that's always been like my go-to. Uh, and then damn savory. Oh, this is probably kind of a weird one, and this is actually kind of relevant too because whenever I have to write like for a battle or whatever, and I really need to concentrate, I'll get sunflower seeds, and I don't know why, but it just like chewing on like seeds like just helps me like concentrate, and it's also like they're like insanely salty, so it's also like kind of addicting. But yeah, I always say like whenever a battle's coming up, I need to go to the store and get my writing seeds.
Nice, like it, man. And yeah, no, that's a good answer. To be fair, it's better than some of the answers I've had previously, anyway. And yeah, in terms of Ben and Jerry's, we get like, so we get half baked, we get cookie dough, we get baked Alaska.
And I've never seen that because like out here, most of them are like named after celebrities and shit. So I don't know if they do that with the UK ones, but we've got like the famous one is like Cherry Garcia. I don't know if you've ever seen that or like.
Yeah, I think we have that one. We have a few new ones now as well. So we've got like a birthday cake one and I think it's a peanut butter pretzel one or something like that. But
Hey, when you did you when did Sweeney have good answers? Because he's like a chef and shit, so I feel like he might have had like really good answers to that.
he did have, I remember his answers being good, but I don't actually remember what he said now.
I'm gonna check that out. I always just whenever I have food questions, I just go to him.
That's fair. Yeah, it's a good shout. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone outside of the UK has given particularly bad answers so far. So you guys definitely know your snacks over there in that sense. But a few people have said like chocolate raisins, which I can't get on board with whatsoever. They're kind of, when you're a kid and there's nothing else in the cupboards, they're the last thing you draw for. But
To be fair, like I feel like food out there gets like a bad rap, and but when I was out there, like I mean, granted, it's nothing like too outside of the box. Like it's kind of you know I don't know what the word like way like old kind of old fashioned like fish and chips and pasties and all that. Like it's nothing too like creative or fancy, but it's solid, especially if you're drinking and shit. Like I feel like the UK is really good drunk food, so and kebabs and all that. Like man, I always have it. Maybe it's all because I have like a little buzz going the whole time, but I always feel real good out there.
yeah, yeah, man. I think we do have one of the worst cuisines in the world like as a whole. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's bad either. So yeah, it's not too bad over here. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if you know what. Do you know what Marmite is?
I've heard. Isn't that like Australian shit?
It
Or
could be originally. It's you guys have Vegemite over there, right?
no, Vegemite's the Australian shit. So maybe that's like your version.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Well, it's essentially, I think it's kind of like a yeast spread, but it's like black, and it
That's,
honestly, it's the most disgusting thing in the
yeah, that
world.
sounds
But
nasty.
someone said Marmite twiglets, which is kind of like a savory, like they're almost like little pretzel sticks that are flavored like Marmite, and it's honestly the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah, I
not happy with that.
definitely never ran anything like that. Although I kept going to like the same Indian place over and over because the Indian food out there is just super fire.
Yeah, it is good.
On Brick Lane and shit. Woo, miss it.
Yeah, yeah. I think I might know the Indian place that you're talking about. Actually, yeah, yeah. It's really good down there. And Brick Lane bagels are pretty good down there too. But yeah, man, London's not bad as a whole. But apart from that, I mean, again, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on, man. It's been great to chop it up with you. But is there any links to anything that you'd like put in the description to the video once it's dropped? Any like social media pages or anything?
Um, yeah. First of all, appreciate you having me as well, man. This was really dope, and I appreciate that. I feel like you give, you're covering battle rappers that don't get, you know, noticed by like other media outlets and shit. So it's just giving shine that, you've had a lot of people on that I'm really happy to see them getting some coverage. So I really appreciate what you're doing, man. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at Steve XQZ. Check out nocoastraps.com or youtube.com/nocoastraps. I don't know if we have the No Coast Raps domain anymore. But check out No Coast, and watch out for that URL Crucible shit whenever this pandemic blows over.
Definitely looking forward to that, man. And yeah, I mean, thank you very much. It's been fun doing the show, to be honest. And if battle rap's gonna grow as a whole, we just all need to kind of support each other, I suppose, and that's the only aim of the show. So yeah, I appreciate it though, man. Thank you very much. And yeah, again, thank you for coming on, man. It's been great chopping it up, and I hope you stay safe over there.
Yeah, likewise, man.
Take care, mate.
Peace.